I think I'm on now. Testing, 1, 2, testing. Does help to have everything connected. And so we're continuing with our theme for the month of April, the power of vulnerability. And the musical selection that we heard earlier was by Karen Drucker. I give myself permission. I give myself permission to be all that I can be. And that really ties in with our title this morning, Vulnerability, Letting Go and Letting In. And as Reverend Cindy invited us in our opening prayer this morning to breathe in and to breathe out, it's participating in that cycle. And if you think about it, a lot of our activity has to do with letting stuff come in and also letting it go. If we only bring in, there's only so much that we have capacity for. And so we have to let go. We have to participate in that flow of circulation. Letting go and letting in is often easier said than done. And this aspect of our vulnerability calls us to loosen our grip and to open up to the possibilities that await us. And it's all about opening up to those infinite possibilities of life. We're in week 3 of our series on vulnerability, and I want to do a slight recap of this month. We began by establishing our monthly theme, vulnerability, by defining it in 2 parts. A key ingredient in our own personal transformation and creating an expanded awareness of what lies just below the surface. And then last week, we went below the surface just a little bit and explored how fear, uncertainty, and comparison arise when we set an intention to live our lives out loud in a vulnerable and an authentic space. Of course, when we set an intention, or at least when I set an intention, and others have shared this, whatever it is that we're setting our intention for, quite often the opposite will show up, or something that appears to be the opposite, something that will attempt to derail us. Well, during the week, my life displayed itself in various ways of working me. I mean, it really worked me. For several weeks, I've been replaying a rather traumatic experience in my life from many, many years ago. I thought I was complete with this, had done all of the healing and everything and so on. And I'm asking myself, okay, why is this still coming up again after all of these years? Why is it surfacing now? And of course, Spirit decided to offer me answers while I was driving, and at a point where I could not pull over and jot down notes or grab the phone and record what was being downloaded. So I finally said, okay, you know, this really is not the answer. This is just an opening. This is a glimpse of what else is coming. And so these little insights were really not the final answer to my question. In Science of Mind, we practice and we teach listening to the indwelling spirit. Some call it the still small voice within. And so my listening practice has led me to know that these little downloads while I was driving was a not yet, but it was preparing me for what was to reveal itself. And so finally, the real answer came, and it came as one word: fear. Fear. You know, Spirit doesn't use a lot of words to communicate. And I thought about that as I was getting these little glimpse messages. You know, there were sentences or multiple sentences. Spirit, at least in my life, Spirit doesn't always communicate that way. It's generally a one word that gives me what I am looking for. And so when this came to me, what I realized that I was actually caught in a trap of fear, uncertainty, and comparison related to this particular incident. And yes, it was a very low point in my life. And out of this awareness that I was operating from fear, I recognized that this is only one event in the totality of my life's experiences, and it does not define who I am. And so what I offer to you this morning as part of living your life out loud and being vulnerable and being open to let something in and to let it all go, that those seeming low points as well as the seeming high points and everything that is in between does not define who we are. It does not define the totality of who we are. It is usually a one-time incident. And so as I was thinking about this, I go, wow, this is a perfect segue into today's topic, letting go and letting in. And so today we will explore a little bit about how self-reflection, allowing an opening, serve as an integral part of our willingness to be vulnerable with ourselves and with those around us. And this is the key to being vulnerable, is to have enough trust and faith and confidence in our own selves that we can be authentic and give permission to those around us to be authentic also. Now, I'm not saying we release all boundaries and just, fling it wide open. No, that is not what we do. There are boundaries, but within those boundaries, there are aspects of ourself that we can reveal that just give a little bit of a glimpse more into the life that we live. The more we do this for ourselves, the greater our ability to create this space for others. One of the core concepts of our Science of Mind teaching is wholeness. Wholeness includes the things we love about ourselves, our experiences, and our lives. It also includes those parts of us that we would rather hide, those experiences in our lives we would rather not have, and all of the messiness that comes in between. And I'm thinking of the transformation of the earthworm into the butterfly, and that messiness, that gooey part in between. And what emerges out of that is something that is beautiful and magnificent and gorgeous. And yes, we go through these experiences in our own lives. So it's that messiness, it's that gooiness that creates this place of uncomfortableness for us. And yet, it can be a reminder that we are always whole, perfect, and complete in the mind of God. Without this understanding of wholeness and vulnerability, might not be possible. Wholeness creates for us an opportunity to step into and live our authentic lives. Not the lives that we show on Facebook or TikTok or our Instagram page or our Twitter page or any other aspect of social media that we may use. It's this understanding of wholeness and vulnerability that allows us to create this container in which we live our authentic lives. Ernest Holmes offers these a couple of quotes from Science of Mind textbook that I will share with you. The first one is, always, there is an inner, quiet, persistent confidence, a non-resistant but complete acceptance, an inward flowing with the stream of life, knowing that it carries me safely and surely to my destination and to the accomplishment of every good purpose. This inner, quiet, persistent, confident, and non-resistant, but yet complete acceptance place carries me in the direction of my good. And the second quote from Ernest Holmes is, releasing the weight of past limiting beliefs, releasing the weight of past limiting beliefs and judgments frees us to rise up in faith, which is a mental assertion elevated to the plane of realization. In other words, when we release that gooiness, that junk, that stuff of the past that has limited us and caused us to place judgments on ourselves, we let that go. We rise up in our faith and we're elevated into a higher level of awareness or realization. And then I like this quote from Thomas Short. The law of flotation was not discovered by contemplating the sinking of things, but by contemplating the floating of things which floated naturally and then intelligently asking, why did they do so? Why did they do so? And so there are several aspects of letting go and letting in that I want to share with you. The first one is knowing. Knowing is a key aspect of vulnerability. It is an ever-growing, ever-evolving awareness of who we are. On an individual level, vulnerability calls us to reflect on ourselves with gentle eyes. This is a part of this experience, to remember to be gentle with ourselves, to look at ourselves with gentle eyes, to be willing to observe all aspects of ourselves. Those we are super excited to let others see, and those we would rather stuff in the closet and throw away the key. But you know what I've experienced in my own life is that no matter how far I throw away that key, it's going to reemerge at some point. And it's like, okay, I got to look at this. I remember when I was going through practitioner training, my minister, my teacher would say, this is the opportunity to go in and look at all of those bones that you have in your closet, those skeletons that are rattling in there. It's an opportunity to let them out. Because if you don't let them out now, they're going to come out in ministerial school. So I said, well, I don't have to worry about that. I'm not going to ministerial school. That's not part of my calling. Spirit said, okay, okay. So I hit ministerial school, kicking and screaming. And then yet at that point where it's like, okay, God, I surrender. You know, I can't run any further. I surrender. And the bones came rattling out. And so I am grateful for the healing that is continuing to take place in my life. Knowing represents the fullness of our individualized expression. As we make friends with all of the parts of ourselves, we begin to look at those parts with new eyes, we honor them, and we begin to allow them to express fully, because they are the totality of who we are. It is in this knowing that we are empowered to bring our whole selves to life. And this is what this journey is all about. This is what our annual theme, Living Out Loud, is all about. It is bringing our whole selves to our life experiences. And the second aspect that I want to share this morning is allowing. Allowing ourselves to fully embrace all aspects of ourselves. You'll see that there's some repetition in this, and yet in the repetition, we get to look at additional isolated points and bring them and shed some light on them. The willingness to let go and to allow may be easier said than done, because fear and uncertainty are often barriers to vulnerability, creating walls so thick that nothing gets in and nothing gets out. Allowing the fullest expression of ourselves to be uncomfortable and oftentimes terrifying, it is in this space that we move through and we open to allowing ourselves to live out loud. Walls that created bricks of insecurity, old thought patterns, and societal frameworks, just to name a few, may come down in one fell sweep, or it may be a brick by brick experience. And I just was reminded of, occasionally I will watch the home shows on HGTV, HGTV. I think I got those initials correct. But in some of the remodeling projects where they're going in and renovating an older home, there's a brick fireplace that is there, and it needs a facelift, or they're going to take it out or move it to another location. The dream of the renovation team is that when they begin to break the fireplace apart, that it will come down in one fell swoop. And we'll see this where, they loosen up a few bricks and then the whole thing comes down. And, so there's big celebration because that has added more work time to the project. And then there are other situations where it is so solid and was so well constructed that they almost have to pull it apart brick by brick by brick. And of course, this adds additional time to the total project. And so that's how our lives work. Sometimes those old thought patterns, those old belief patterns, those things that have been implanted in us by our primary caregivers or society or other influences, sometimes they come down just instantaneously. We'll have that instantaneous revelation, say, oh, this is what this is about, and we move on. And other times we have to chip away and chip away and chip away. I encourage you to keep chipping, to keep chipping, to keep chipping, because below the surface, there is that sweet, succulent nectar, like getting to the heart of an artichoke. You peel off the barnacles to get to the succulent and the juicy part of the artichoke. So our willingness, and a willingness to be willing to allow our thoughts, emotions, and the ideas that have kept us separated from ourselves and others occur when we let go and we gain a deeper understanding of our connection to spirit and the world around us. And it's all about remembering our connection with God. It is in the activity of allowing that where our often true self is found. And then the third aspect that I share this morning is opening. Opening ourselves to living life fully, seeing all parts of wholeness. And this can be challenging. Our ability to open, even when it may be difficult, gives texture and color to our lives. It speaks to the wholeness and the fullness of life. Not only those experiences will be the ones that we are super excited to have, nor are they the ones that we rush into all at once. Wholeness represents the things we love about life, and it also encompasses those things that we would rather not have seen or heard or experienced. And so you see there's an overlap. There's a working together of allowing ourselves to fully embrace those aspects of ourselves, opening ourselves to see fully the things that are part of our wholeness, and to know the aspects of vulnerability that identify who we are, why we are, and what we are. The willingness to be vulnerable, to open ourselves to love, joy, sadness, heartbreak, and all of the things in between, creates an expanded place for us to live and grow. It calls us to loosen our grip in those areas that have kept us playing small and opening us up to the possibilities that await us. And so I sum this up with a quote by Kia Brown from the book The Pretty One, on life, pop culture, disability, and other reasons to fall in love with me. And Kia writes, whenever we are vulnerable, I believe we are our truest selves. Emotion is all about vulnerability. And this is why, in the cheesiest sense, it is so beautiful. The willingness to be open and vulnerable with ourselves is an important step in living life out loud. It calls us to take a look at those aspects of ourselves and to hold them gently. We look at them with gentleness and with love. And as we begin to make friends with ourselves, we are empowered to let go of the things that no longer serve us and allow us to be our open and authentic selves. We're called to embrace the wholeness of life and to explore ways to allowing our understanding of what wholeness is and allow that to be the door that opens us to vulnerability, authenticity, and connection. And this leads us to our affirmation for the week. And do we have a slide for it this morning? Okay. I am open and receptive to the inflow and the outpouring of the universe. Let us say this together. I am receptive to the inflow and outpouring of the universe. And then our life work for the week, should you choose to accept it, it's what I call the application of the affirmation. And it's actually a quote from Marianne Williamson. Consciously release what needs to be released and welcome with a full embrace the newness you've prayed for and so richly deserve. Consciously release what needs to be released. And this is where our spiritual practices come and support us. Because in our quiet time, in our time of personal reflection, Spirit will reveal to us what it is that we are to let go of if we listen, and if we listen with intention. And so let us practice breathing in and breathing out as we breathe in together and we breathe out. Let's do that again. Let us breathe in together and breathe out. For it is in this breath, it is in the connection of the breath that I know that we are open to the awareness of the indwelling presence of God. This place where there is one life, one power, one wholeness, one highest idea for all that there is possible in this marvelous life. And so as I release and let go of all that no longer serves me, I also remember that I am an individualized expression of pure spirit. The totality of who I am is a representation of spirit. And as this is true for me, I affirm it, I accept it, and I know it. For all who are gathered here this morning, for all who are joining us via technology, wherever you are and wherever time and space you may be viewing this particular talk, this service. Each one an individualized expression of pure spirit, whole, perfect, and complete, just as you are. And so in this awareness of truth, I speak my word this morning, knowing that the perfection of life is revealing itself in and through all of our activities. And it is in the activity of life that Spirit speaks when we pause and when we listen. And I am declaring that as we pause and listen, as we go forth through our daily activities, that still small voice, that which speaks in a monosyllabic tone, reveals to us and reveals through us the way to move forward in our life experiences. Wherever the life journey takes us, I know that there is abundance and prosperity. I know that there is perfect health, there is perfect wholeness, there's right livelihood, there is perfect housing, there is perfect living arrangements. There is support for all of the choices that are for our highest and the highest and best of all concerned. I know this to be true. And as our paths intersect with one another and as our paths travel parallel with one another, I know that we are continually guarded and guided and protected under this great umbrella of love that is called Spirit. Knowing that there is a divine energy at work right here and right now, I just surrender into that energy, allowing it to live itself through me, to express itself through me. I invite this to be the truth for each one that is here and each one that is viewing this. A willingness to be open, to surrender, and to listen to the indwelling Spirit. And so in gratitude for this time together, in gratitude for this prayer, in gratitude for this service, in gratitude for this life, I release this word now back into that law which always says yes. And if any that I have said resonates with you in any way, I invite you to affirm it with me as we say together, and so it is, and so it is, and so it is. Thank you for joining us. And for anyone who is experiencing what may appear to be a challenge in life, what may appear to be an area of lack or limitation, I invite you to take the opportunity for those of you who are here in the center to fill out a prayer request and to leave it in our prayer box where the practitioners and ministers will speak a word of blessing and speak the word knowing the truth of your wholeness. For those who, and we honor the confidentiality of those prayer requests. For those who would like to speak with us in person, our contact information is in our newsletter and also on our website. I invite you to take advantage of those opportunities to connect and to share with us both the joy and the sorrow. You know, a lot of times we go for prayer when we're having a struggle or a challenge in life. We also celebrate in prayer and lift in prayer those highlights, those joys, those celebratory moments. We give thanks. And so we are here to support you in that process. And now it is time to share our abundance. We have an affirmation of abundance that I invite us to say together. I recognize the presence of God within as the source of my abundance. Out of my abundance consciousness flows everything I could desire in life. With gratitude and thanksgiving, I now participate in the flow of uninterrupted abundance. This prosperous experience is evidence of my abundance consciousness. And as you prepare your offerings, I want to share with you an activity that our Board of Trustees and our ecclesiastical team has engaged in, and we invite you to join us for the next 30 days. The World of Effect is focusing on economic uncertainty and financial challenges. And for some, this is a human reality. Those who are living unhoused, those who are living in their cars, or those who are living in other places that are less than desirable. Those that are experiencing employment downsizing or layoffs or other factors. In our board meeting, we acknowledge that this is showing up in our community, and we're setting an intention to know a greater truth for each one of us individually as well as collectively. And so knowing this truth of wholeness for all of us, we are inviting you to join us for the next 30 days in saying the Treatment for Supply by Ernest Holmes, and this is found on page 236 of the Science of Mind textbook, if you have it. 263. I reverse that often, and it's written 263. Thank you for that. 263 in the Science of Mind textbook. And hats off and congrats to our beloved Amber Guzman, practitioner Amber Guzman, for recording this. And the link is on YouTube, and I don't know if you can drop the link into the chat and also include it on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Thank you for doing that. So if you do not have a copy of the textbook, I invite you to click on the link to hear the audible prayer and to say it along with us for the next 30 days. We know that treatment works. We know that this is an abundant universe. We know that God says yes. God always says yes to whatever it is that we request. And so we invite you to share that with us. Today, following service here in the center is our Soul Collage Gathering, which is facilitated by practitioner Denise Kaku. And on next Sunday, following service, we will have our Spiritual Living Circle. For Spiritual Living Circle, you're invited to join us in person, and you also may join us online. And we use the same Zoom link that's used for the Sunday service, so for the Spiritual Living Discussion Group. Let's see, Saturday is Earth Day, and on May 6th is World Labyrinth Day. And we also invite you to be a part of our visioning circle. On Saturday mornings, we vision for the center, and on Sundays, we vision for our individual and collective desires and goals and intentions. And so we say thank you and God bless you to our Facebook and our YouTube family, inviting you to join us next week where we will continue with our theme for the month, the power of vulnerability. And our talk is seeing and being seen. Seeing and being seen. And so we say thank you, we love you, and God bless you.